Generally speaking, Dark Elves do not give much thought for what happens after they die. Every Druchii believes themselves to be the pinnacle of their race, far too strong, clever, and ruthless to fall in battle, and their long lifespans means death by old age is a borderline meaningless threat. To the Nagarathi, every death among their fellows can be explained away by a weakness within the departed, be it through some physical or mental failing. Still, as much as they dislike to admit it, Dark Elves do die. Quite often, in fact. Despite this, the Druchi's disdain for weakness, and thus the dead, has prevented them from creating many meaningful traditions around death. While most people in the Warhammer world have elaborate burial rituals and tales of the afterlife, the Dark Elves seem to have actively avoided such practices. Dark Elves are as practical as they are vicious, and while they may disdain any elf weak enough to perish, they ensure that the Druchi continues to serve their homeland after death. They do this by being fed to Naggaroth's numerous war beasts. The Cold Ones, Harpies, Hydras, Manticores, and other horrors augmenting the armies of Naggaroth are primarily sustained by fallen Dark Elves when not on the march. Dark Elves that manage to befriend or earn the admiration of a noteworthy Druchi have another fate awaiting their corpse, however. Such honored individuals are often buried within obsidian tombs. Earning such a distinction is not a simple task, however. Friendship does exist within Naggaroth, but it can't be openly shown, lest it be perceived as a critical weakness. Admiration is usually earned by being a worthy adversary, and nothing fills Dark Elves with a sense of superiority more than gloating over the preserved corpse of an entombed rival. This comes with dangers of its own, however, for to do so you must be rivals with a noteworthy Druchi in Naggaroth. Not even Malekith is immune to such vanity. The road to the Black Tower is aligned with mausoleums full of dreadlords who challenge Malekith for his throne, with predictable results. No matter what awaits a Dark Elf's body after death, their soul's fate is almost universally wretched. Unlike men, who live on in Moor's Garden, or dwarfs, who are welcomed into the halls of their ancestors, elven souls are condemned to oblivion within Slaanesh's gullet upon shedding the mortal coil. She who thirsts finds elven spirits to be uniquely sweet and seeks them out at every opportunity. While the High and Wood Elves have found methods of avoiding this fate, Dark Elves have actively refused to seek out possible remedies. They believe that the rituals binding High Elven souls to Waystones and Wood Elven souls to Athaloran leaves their wayward cousins weak and dull, robbing them of the pleasures life can bring in return for barely meaningful protection from the Dark Prince. After all, a Waystone can be toppled and portions of Athaloran corrupted. There's no guarantee that a life of diminished sensations will save an elf from annihilation. Instead, the Dark Elves wish to experience every sensation existence has to offer. Indeed, they view a life without limits as the only possible compensation for such a terrible fate in the afterlife, and they strive to squeeze every bit of enjoyment out of it when possible. Of course, as with the body, not every Dark Elf soul meets this terrible fate. The Elven Pantheon, while broken beyond repair, can occasionally rescue certain elven souls from She Who Thirsts. Loic the Trickster has been known to challenge Slaanesh to games of chance, with elven souls as the prize. Why the Dark Prince ever agrees to such wagers is unknown, as the Trickster always cheats. Perhaps the tantalizing thrill of gambling with another deity is just too much for Slaanesh to resist. Whatever the case, such instances seize all manner of elven souls, Dark Elves among them, freed from Slaanesh's grasp. Where they go afterwards is anyone's guess, though it is almost certainly better than the alternative. Loic isn't the only elven deity stealing souls from the Dark Prince's dinner table, though in this case that may not be a good thing. Whenever Slaanesh is distracted, Arith Kial, the Pale Queen of the elven underworld, will send her servants forth to collect the spirits of the departed. These wraith-like beings, known as Rephalim, whisk the dead away to Mirari, Arith Kial's realm beneath the world. Some Dark Elves even worship this goddess, hoping to draw her attention and avoid Slaanesh's gaze. This usually doesn't work, as Arith Kial can only risk the slightest thefts lest she draws Slaanesh's gaze herself. In some ways, the Elves are lucky that this is the case. Mirari is not some idyllic place of peace and comfort, or joy and entertainment. In the common tongue, it is known as the Black Pit, and elves who are taken there spend eternity laboring for the Pale Queen, Preparing for the day, she leads her Shadow Legion into the mortal realm and destroys everything the Surian has built. Many Dark Elves would prefer the quick sting of oblivion to an eternity of toil and torment. These deific interventions are fairly rare for Dark Elves, but they do occur often enough that many believe their souls will be saved by a gracious god, so long as they distinguish themselves in life. Truthfully, despite the horrors awaiting them, many Dark Elves give little thought to the afterlife. After all, barring accident or violence, they can live for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years, and that's before dark magic gets involved. They can afford to ignore it, right up until the end. With that, we've come to the end of our overview of how Dark Elven culture views death. After putting out several longer videos in a row, it was nice to make a slightly shorter one. There wasn't anything too surprising about this topic. The callous, arrogant faction is callous and arrogant regarding death. What a shock. It also doesn't touch on Total War Warhammer, but at this point that's not exactly unusual for the channel. Something that is kind of unusual, however, is that my video production rate is going to be way down for the next couple of months. Okay, considering how the summer's been, maybe it's not that unusual, but I am starting grad school next week, and that's going to be a whole thing. I've got no idea how much time that'll take, so until I know, I'll be stepping back from video production. I'll still be at it as a hobby, uploading when I can, but regular videos will probably be a thing of the past. No one's more bummed about this than me, but so it goes. That's all I have for now, though, so until next time, whenever that may be, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.